As a Muslim student, my non-Muslim friends ask why the Prophet married a minor, yet it is wrong.
Why the Prophet?
Married a minor. Got married to a minor.
Why the Prophet married a minor?
Yes.
Why not? If you had the chance, turn the tables on them. Now,
this is what happens when you follow Muhammad and Satan instead of following Jesus, God. Because you are so disgusting to say that. "Oh, if you had the chance, flip it on them." Like, that man's sausage needs to be cut off completely. Now, I'm going to continue playing the other parts that he says because it gets worse, okay?
Aisha ever complained that she wasn't happy, that she was subjugated, that she was oppressed? Of course not. She loved the Prophet more than anyone else on earth, and he loved her more than anyone else on earth. Were her parents opposing the marriage? Of course not. Who in his right mind would find someone as trustworthy, as great as the Prophet and would reject him? Wallahi, if I had a 6-month-old daughter, I would give it to him. You're crazy. And by the way, I have 13 daughters with the grace of Allah, no boys. So I know what a father feels about his daughters. You want to buy a man just to make your daughter happy if you find the right man. And the Prophet, he's the one. Not only that, it was a divine order. The Prophet said, I was given a revelation from Jibreel. This is your wife. Twice. What do you want him to do? Oh, what do people would say? This is crazy. So,
You're crazy.
and if you Google,
a lot of Muslims in the West, they're very Christian, okay? They're very Christianized. And I know a lot of Muslims, so this is not to be taken offensive, okay? But I have to be honest with you guys. We wonder why Jeffrey Epstein was able to get away with so much. We wonder why Hollywood is able to get away with so much abuse on children. This is why. Because money, fame, and power can make anybody completely lose their morals, all in the name of worshiping that person that has money, fame, and power. This is beyond disgusting. Beyond disgusting. This man admitted that he would give his 6-month-old to Muhammad. How disgusting, you guys. How disgusting. Again, when you do not worship God and Jesus and follow the footsteps of Jesus, and you instead follow the footsteps of disgusting, perverted Muhammad, this is the types of demons you are entertaining. This is one of the reasons why I had to really back away from Islam, because the more I studied Muhammad, I was disgusted by his freak nature, okay? Like I've said before, this man has had like slaves, okay, concubines, what your right hand possesses. This man has married a child. This man, because the Quran, because Gabriel came and told me, I can actually marry my adopted son's wife. Even in ancient Arabia, this was deemed disgusting, something that you do not do at all. You do not marry your adopted son's wife because that was seen as incest. Yet Muhammad, he completely changed all of this because Gabriel told me. You know what else Gabriel told me? Yeah, only you guys can get married to 4 women, but I get to marry however many women I want. I get to marry more than 4 women, and I also get to have slaves. Yeah. When people deem other people in a higher position, they're willing to do whatever. And that also goes for their children. Again, this man admitted to literally putting his child at risk, all because, oh my God, Muhammad, he's the most trustworthy man in this whole entire world. No, he's not. He's a disgusting, perverted man. A lot of Muslims will always tell me, well, Aisha was actually 19 years old, because they like to say that she was 19 years old because they like to base her age when it comes to her older sister. And I'm not someone that when I was Muslim, I even cared about the hadith. I didn't, okay? Whenever an ex-Muslim talks about Islam, you know what Muslims first line of defense is, oh, yeah, no, they were never Muslims. No, they were never Muslims. Okay. Again, a lot of Muslims would say Aisha is 19 years old. Or they like to do what he did. Oh, but that was a different time. I had to clip that part because that's something that he said later on. He had talked about, oh, well, all these other people have married children before. So Muhammad, you have to judge by the standards of back then, not now. But again, Islam is supposed to be for all the timelines of human existence, right? Muhammad in Islam is supposed to be the best of best examples and a leader that you must follow. And whatever he did, you must also do. That's why you have the hadiths, the sunnah, right? Because you want to act like Muhammad. Because in Islam, you're not taught to follow the footsteps of Jesus. You're taught to follow the footsteps of Muhammad. If a Muslim tells you that Aisha was 19 years old, in order for them to justify Muhammad's marriage to Aisha, you have to remind them that there are hadiths that talk about Aisha playing with dolls, which is reserved for children only, because in Islam, image making is forbidden, and that includes anything 3D. That's why when I first became Muslim, there were a lot of Muslims up in my comment section telling me I'm going to hell because I like to paint human beings, or I like to paint living creatures, and so therefore I am going to go to hell. There were a lot of Muslims that would tell me, oh no, there's not going to be angels that are going to come to your home because you have paintings hanging up in your home. These were Muslims that I knew telling me this stuff. So again, Aisha could not have had a doll because that is the same thing as having a 3D image, okay, of a living creature, aka idolatry, okay? So that would have been forbidden. And he brings up, did Aisha ever complain? No, Aisha loved Muhammad. Well, yeah, she was groomed. That's what happens when you are a little kid married to an adult and all you have ever known is the life with that adult. It is called being groomed. When I was questioning if Islam was even the right religion to follow, there was a Christian that had made a video that said Jesus never waged war, unlike Muhammad. Jesus never had multiple wives, unlike Muhammad. And Jesus never had a child that he had married, unlike Muhammad. And all of those are 100% truth, and you cannot deny that at all. When God came down in human flesh, he came down in order to lead by example, to show us regular mortals what to do when we are confronted with similar situations that Jesus was confronted with. When I was Muslim, I did not know this at all until a Christian had brought this up. But in Islam, Jesus is in the second heaven. But Muhammad, he is in the highest of highest heaven. So he is above Jesus in heaven. That's why Muslims, they worship Muhammad. That's why when you say anything about Muhammad, they view a lot of things as blasphemy. And they will come for you because, again, Muhammad ordered for you to go and unalive someone else if they say something bad about Muhammad. Let me show you what this man told Sneeko, because Sneeko felt uncomfortable about this hadith. And let me show you what he said.
I've been struggling with this one ever since I read this hadith, which stuff I have to admit I didn't like when I read it.
Listen, no, sheikh, tell me. First of all, we as Muslims have to have submission, certainty, no questions asked, no strings attached. This is Quran, I believe it. Do you fully embrace it? Yes. No questions asked. This is a hadith. Do you take it? Is it authentic? Is it?
That's what I read, yeah.
Then if it's authentic, it's from Allah. How could I be shaky? Because if you want to be shaky, this means that you don't have certainty. And when you don't have certainty, you're this close to flipping to the dark side. The biggest problem we have with the Westerners from America and from Canada and from Europe is that they don't have their Islam on cemented area. They're so easy to flip to the other side. And that's why you find many of them starting to be good and strong and mashallah, and all of a sudden, I have doubts. Why? The Prophet married Aisha when she was 9. You're a kafir. If you doubt the Prophet for a second, you're a full-fledged kafir. Get the heck out of my house. Don't even think about it. No second chances. Islam is crystal clear. The Prophet said, I've left you on Islam, which is as clear as night and day. If you doubt something in Islam that is beyond doubt, the Prophet ﷺ if you look down at him, if you think bad about him, if you think something wrong with the Quran, if you think Allah Azza wa Jalla is unfair, you're a kafir.